There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead.
As long as it takes, for as long as we need to find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime.
As you already know, suspicion is blazing through the conservative world after Charlie Kirk's shocking end. The second the news broke, big names tore apart the official story, picking every hole and refusing to accept it. And that raises the burning question: was Kirk really taken down by one hate-filled kid, or was this a carefully planned political hit by hidden hands? Who stood to gain? Let's find out.
My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it.
Fresh court papers filled with the supposed killer's own words should have settled things. Instead, they fanned the flames.
I was at that horrific crime scene. Doesn't matter who it is. Yes, who killed Charlie? Left-wing radical.
Conspiracy theories are everywhere now, spreading fast, not just among far-right loyalists who never bought the official story, but creeping into left-wing spaces too. More people are whispering the same chilling questions.
I don't know, I think this is really unexpected. I didn't see it coming at all. He, since I met him growing up, was always a kind, respectable, genuine kid.
On the surface, the MAGA movement looked like a united army, humming the same tune. But Kirk's death cracked that image, leaving allies demanding flags be lowered in his honor. For the public, doubt exploded the moment Tyler Robinson was cuffed. A young, clean-cut Mormon with no extremism, no manifesto, no online rants, no obvious political ties. It just didn't fit.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
The theories born from Kirk's end have twisted into a political funhouse. Every mirror a new distortion. Every reflection feeding fears on both sides. For conservatives, it's the nightmare of a government so rotten it would erase one of its own voices to hold power. To them, it's proof the state isn't just corrupt, it's ruthless. For progressives, the fear is different. It's not about who acted, it's about what comes next. Kirk's sudden martyrdom could be weaponized, reshaped into fuel for a movement even more extreme than he ever was. His name could become a rallying cry, louder, sharper, unstoppable. Almost immediately, progressive corners of social media spun a new angle. Tyler Robinson wasn't just a random guy. He was a groyper, one of Nick Fuentes' online followers, and a longtime thorn in Kirk's side. The story was irresistible. Imagine it, Kirk, the tireless MAGA salesman, allegedly taken down not by a left-wing enemy, but by someone even further to his right. For the haters, it was the perfect dark twist.
Everybody who was waiting for a concrete motive. If the reports about him being a chronically online groyper are true, there will be no motive.
But the so-called evidence is paper thin. A single photo of Robinson in a tracksuit was waved around as proof, even though it was just a Slavic squat meme. Nothing to do with Pepe or groyper culture. Then came the Spotify playlist. Titled Groyper Wars, it was hyped as damning. In reality, it had fewer than 10 followers before the shooting, and a playlist of bland tracks like Huey Lewis's Hip to Be Square, hardly the playlist of a radical soldier. When the dust settled, stripped of all the panic and online guesswork, nothing solid remained. No manifesto, no coded symbols, no real link to Fuentes or his movement. Just noise, loud, messy, and meaningless. But the most explosive and politically radioactive, conspiracy didn't bubble up from fringe corners of the left. It came from inside the right's own house. and it came with a name attached. Candace Owens, once one of Charlie Kirk's closest allies, the co-star of his rallies and a trusted collaborator, was the one who lit the match.
I'm being contacted by a lot of people that are telling me that just within 48 hours before Charlie passed away, his top Jewish donors were pulling funding from him, demanding that Charlie take their name off of the building that they had donated to Turning Point.
On her show, Owens didn't tiptoe around. She floated the idea that Kirk hadn't been killed by some random, aimless young man at all. According to her, it looked far more like punishment for daring to waver in his loyalty to Israel. She painted a picture of very powerful billionaires, working in the shadows, leaning on Kirk, pushing him to stay in line. And then she dropped the real bombshell. Owens named names. She directly accused financier Bill Ackman of making threats against Kirk.
More than one event, but he had essentially what was staged, an intervention was staged by Bill Ackman. Because Charlie's rational thoughts about Israel.
In a single move, Owens yanked the conversation away from grief and pushed it straight into the realm of intrigue and betrayal. Suddenly, the story wasn't about a lone gunman or even a government cover-up. It was about whether dissent over Israel had become so dangerous that even one of the most loyal conservative influencers could lose his life for it. And once that idea hit the bloodstream, the speculation took on a life of its own.
And Charlie was surrounded by his friends, his quote-unquote friends. Bill Ackman was very upset, and threats were made.
Her accusations didn't survive long before getting slapped down hard. Bill Ackman himself jumped in to deny ever threatening Kirk, brushing off the claims as reckless fiction. But the real blow came next. Rob McCoy, Kirk's pastor, is stepping into the chaos with the moral hammer. He didn't come in hot with rage, but in sanctimony. McCoy rebuked Owens, not only calling her claims baseless, but framing them as cruel, as if she were tormenting a grieving family already torn apart by loss. Then he twisted the knife with one line that landed like a sermon. He would never have treated Candace or her family in such a way had God forbid this tragedy been hers. It was less a rebuttal and more a spiritual dressing down, the kind meant to close the lid on Owens's version of events once and for all. But by that point, the fire was already out of control. The accusations had been said, recorded, shared, clipped, and spread. The retractions might have quieted the stage, but the audience had already left buzzing with suspicion. The damage, as always, was done. Law enforcement's story is painfully plain, almost dull, next to the wild chaos online. Tyler Robinson, 22, an electrician in training with a streak of left-leaning politics, was the lone shooter. No billionaires whispering in shadows, no secret handlers lurking. Just one kid, a gun, and a choice that tore everything apart. The proof, they say, is airtight. Robinson's DNA was on a towel wrapped around the gun, texts that read like a diary of rage, angry admissions tying him straight to the act. Every piece clicks together too neatly. It's tidy, it's ordinary, and that's why it doesn't stick. For a public prime to see hidden hands everywhere, it's almost too clean, too simple to swallow. Court filings strip it bare. Robinson told his partner, "Drop what you are doing, look under my keyboard." There, a handwritten note spelled it out. "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." The texts after were a confession in real time. I'm sorry," he wrote. Then bluntly, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out." This wasn't a snap decision. Robinson planned it for a bit over a week, caught between panic over the rifle left behind and shame tied to his father, a diehard MAGA loyalist. And the darkest line of all, he wanted to keep this secret till I died of old age. Caught, he begged his partner to erase everything, keep quiet from the media. That plea, frozen in court papers, will never disappear. Instead of uniting the movement in grief, the arrest shredded reality. Right-wing commentators reshaped the story, refusing the official line. Robinson wasn't the end of the mystery. He was a distraction, a pawn, a placeholder keeping eyes off the real players. Some even claimed picking a normal religious kid was deliberate to make it look random, senseless, and impossible to trace. In their version, only a massive cover-up could hold all the holes together. And the more the government insisted Robinson acted alone, the more these voices dug in convinced the truth was buried under layers of lies. Every tidy line in the government timeline only makes it look more suspicious, and no one's leaning into that doubt harder than Steve Bannon. On his podcast, Bannon tears the story apart day after day. He calls it a vast conspiracy, daring listeners to poke holes in every line.
This was being treated as a single murder. It's not a single murder. This is not a single murder of a great man. There's a vast conspiracy in back of this. Antifa needs to be designated as a domestic terrorist organization of hate.
Michael Savage went even further. No coded language, no careful phrasing. He thundered, "Something is wrong with this whole fucking picture."
Something's wrong. I know I shouldn't do this. I'm risking an awful lot to go up against this FBI, the MAGA FBI. Something's very wrong.
Raw, unfiltered, exactly what his listeners wanted. Savage captured what many on the right already felt. The official story isn't just incomplete, it reeks of manipulation. The suspicion spreading like smoke was that the truth isn't missing by accident, it's being buried.
But I can't take it anymore. I can't take the bullshit from this fucking government. It's lying to us. Something's wrong.
And this isn't pulled from nowhere. It's fueled by government blunders. FBI Director Kash Patel jumped the gun with a tweet claiming a suspect was in custody. Wrong. Then on Fox, he said Robinson left a note about the shooting, only to admit it was mysteriously destroyed. 2 missteps back to back, and conspiracists had their spark. Every stumble built the wall of doubt higher. Owen Schroyer, Alex Jones's InfoWars heir, summed it up. Now, it just feels like a cover-up on top of a cover-up. For a movement trained to smell betrayal, Patel's mistakes weren't just errors, they were neon proof that something was rotten. Just when the circus seemed over, enter George Zinn, a 71-year-old drifter with a long record of petty crimes and crashing public events. Zinn got picked up right after the shooting. Why? Police say he shouted that he was the shooter, apparently trying to give the real suspect cover.
Shoot me! Shoot me! Was that you? We don't know if it's him or not. How dare you! How dare you!
Now he's in jail for obstruction, plus a separate bust for possessing illegal material involving kids. Authorities say there's no link between Zinn and Robinson, but the sheer weirdness of an old man diving into the middle of a crime only thickened the fog. Then there's Robinson himself, locked in a Utah jail on special watch, a label for inmates who might hurt themselves or need constant monitoring for reasons officials won't explain, leaving the public with more questions than answers. The strangest detail didn't come from the crime scene or courtroom. It came from home. Robinson's roommate, also said to be his partner, is transgender. Investigators say this partner has been incredibly cooperative from the start, and officials insist it doesn't affect the case. Still, with Charlie Kirk's history of attacking the trans community, the irony was hard to miss. To many, it felt like a bitter twist in an already messy story. After all the evidence, texts, filings, conspiracies, slip-ups, and contradictions, we're left with fog. The truth shifts depending on the lens. The record exists, but so does suspicion, fueled by mistakes, secrecy, and unanswered questions that keep piling up. Are we any closer to the truth? Not really. Every new detail just breaks the story into more pieces. Conspiracies grow not just from anger, but because nothing fits. Every part feels too sharp or too smooth, too simple or too messy, so we wait, unsure if the official story is true or if this tale will stay stuck between fact and doubt. Charlie Kirk's end is tragic, a senseless blow that shook his movement. But there's a dark irony. He built his name on conspiracies, twisting and profiting from them, using fear like a weapon.
London was 95% white in the 1920s. It is now 29% white.
Yeah.
Now, again, I don't think whites are better than other people, whatever, but it's just not London anymore.
They're the indigenous population.
It's something, exactly. And I thought we're against mass replace. That's ethnic cleansing, isn't it?
And now he's been taken by the very force he once used on others. His killing has turned into the center of a sprawling web of speculation, the most potent political conspiracy theory since John F. Kennedy's assassination. And just like Kennedy, Kirk is no longer just a man. He's a myth. His death has been recast as a story without an ending, destined to be debated, twisted, and repurposed for decades to come. The real tragedy isn't just that Charlie Kirk is gone, it's what that loss has turned into. Instead of closure, it's a blank canvas splashed with the ugliest suspicions of a fractured nation. The official story frames it simply: a young man with a grudge pulled the trigger. Case closed. But that neatness feels fake, too polished, too easy to swallow. So the speculation grows, branching everywhere. The case against Tyler Robinson might look wrapped up on paper, but in the public's mind, it's only cracking open. The heavier question still chokes the air like smoke. Who really wanted Kirk erased? And until that question lands, the shadow over him will only spread.